I can't tell you how many times I've had a teacher DM me saying they want to leave the profession, but once we dive into it deeper, it's often not because of lack of skill, but it's because they're working in a misaligned district. The whole reason I started sharing tips online for not getting hired or calling a bunch of districts and not getting an answer back was because it's not about getting hired by any district, it's about getting hired to the right district. Because here's the truth, a lot of new teachers and teachers in general are leaving the profession because of misaligned districts. And I want good teachers in classrooms, not only to work with, but for my future kiddos as well. So how can you tell if a school is going to burn you out? We're gonna talk about that today, so let's dive in. So let me introduce myself in case you are new here. Welcome, my name's Helena and welcome to The Present Teacher. I'm a coach for new and first year teachers. Today we're going to be talking about how to tell if a school will burn you out before you accept the job. So first, let's dive into why this matters. Most teachers realize before it's too late that the district they're working for is not the right fit for them. They have unsupportive admin, maybe the team isn't a good fit, and they have more on their plate than they expected, and they are often burned out before December. And the truth is, they think it's them and their ability. They think they're a failure of a teacher. They think someone out there could do it better than them. Maybe they're not cut out for this profession. And some of them actually end up leaving. But when in reality, if they just would have worked for a more aligned district, I know those teachers would have stayed. And most of them are, not all of them are, majority of them are phenomenal teachers. It's nothing to do with their skill and everything to do about their environment. So now that we talked about why this is important, let's talk about the red flags. So red flags to look for in an interview that's going to indicate that a district may burn you out before or if you accept that job is they give very vague answers, very roundabout answers, like they don't want to actually answer your question. They might have an overwork culture, things like team player. I need someone who's going to be a team player, a self-starter. The whole term, we're like a family here. We need someone who's going to be a self-starter or a team player. And maybe there's a lack of support. You ask what kind of support there is for new teachers in the district, and there aren't any. And then when you ask about what prepping and planning looks like, you don't have a prep or planning, or it's going to be used to cover other classes. When you ask how admin is going to support disruptive behavior in the classroom, they don't, and it's solely on the teacher. These are good indicators that this may be a tough district or school to work for, and they might burn you out. Now let's talk about green flags on what to look for if a school will support you and won't burn you out. First off, they have clear systems. It's not it's all up to the teacher. It's admin does this, they support you with this, and here's how. They have concrete answers, not vague roundabout answers. You have supportive admin. You ask admin what a typical day looks like, they're walking around in the building, they're in the classrooms, they are pulling kids who are being disruptive. They don't let it build up and solely land on the shoulders of teachers. They have realistic expectations. They don't expect you to be Superman, Superwoman, super person, super teacher. They know that you're human and you can sense that from them. So those, and they have clear support. They have a support system in place for you. So you're not just gonna be thrown into the deep end. You have that concrete support. You have a way to essentially learn to swim before you're just thrown in. So now let's talk about real talk. Not all districts or schools are created equal. Not all admin are created equal, and that's okay. But this is where your power comes in. You get to choose. You get to choose if you're just gonna get hired by any district or if you are gonna focus on getting hired by the right district. Not all schools are gonna be supportive. Not all districts are gonna be supportive. Not all admin are gonna be supportive. I genuinely believe most 99.99% of people do their best, but that doesn't mean it's going to be aligned with you. What may work for you may not work for another teacher, and that's okay. So let's talk about the identity shift. You get to choose sustainability. You're not thinking, I need a short-term job right now. You're thinking, I'm going to be intentional with this first job because this is going to be my career and I'm going to make sure it's a sustainable career. You don't accept just any job, you accept the right job. You have your list of non-negotiables, and if a district that is a walking red flag offers you a job, you don't take it out of desperation. You know your worth, you know your value. You're intentional of your environment. You know how much it can impact you if you get in the wrong environment. So you are very intentional with who you get hired by, and you know your value and worth. You're no longer reaching out of desperation. You show up with confidence, knowing exactly why this district is for you and why you are a good fit for them. So now that we talked about the identity shift, let's talk about how to take action. So I want you to take some time to evaluate past interviews for signs of burnout or supportive admin. What did you notice? If you've had an interview in the past, what did you notice? Was it a sign that that district may have been a sign of burnout, or was it a sign that that district was actually probably supportive? A good example of this is if I go back to my first 2 interviews I went to, like I said, during my first year, I had 2 interviews on the same day. Both offered me a job during the interviews, and I had to choose one, obviously. Out of the 2, one principal, what I noticed about her, I had the interview during a school day. She was late to my interview because she was walking the halls with kids, because she was helping cover duties, because she was walking in and out of classrooms. To me, that was a walking green flag because that principal was busy. She was on her feet. She wasn't just sitting in her office. Whereas the other one, he was very hands-off, which there's nothing wrong with. I was looking for supportive admin who are gonna be present in the classroom. He didn't quite know exactly what was going on in the classrooms. He wasn't quite sure what was going on with the teams. It was very much, I spoke to the teams. He wasn't quite sure or quite in the loop with things or how the classroom ran, and he was oftentimes, he said, in meetings at the district office and just not very present in the schools. And not that that's wrong for every teacher. For me in that season of my life, I was very much looking for a very present admin, and I really appreciated that other admin. So that's why I went with that position actually. And like I said, when you know your worth and you know what you stand for and you're not desperate for any job, that interview I had with her honestly felt like a coffee chat with a future best friend. Our interview was only supposed to be 10 or 20 minutes. We went on for 40 minutes to an hour just chit-chatting about stuff we were passionate about in education right now. And it honestly felt like, I said, having a conversation with a future friend. And so having that aligned conversation where you just get to be you and passionate versus very methodical, very proper, very thought out, very, this is what you're looking for, this is how the mask or how I'm going to present myself, can be very different. So as a recap, we talked about why this matters. We talked about red flags to look in a district. We looked at green flags in a district. We talked about the real talk and the identity shift you need to make in order to step into your identity as that new teacher next door. We talked about how to take action and to evaluate past interviews you had for signs of burnout or supportive admin, and what did you notice. Now, let's take this a step further. If you found this week's content helpful, please, I would really appreciate if you could leave a review, like, and subscribe, and share it with a teacher friend who you feel could use this so this can reach more teachers. Let's help teachers, good teachers, stay in the profession by pairing them up with the right districts from the get-go. If you want to continue this conversation on interviewing and you want my top 10 strategies for getting hired by the right district, make sure to check out my free teacher interview guide. It links to additional podcasts and YouTube videos that you can find instead of sifting through my now 180 plus weeks of content to find what you're looking for. If you want to take it a step further and you want me to help you highlight why you're a good fit for that specific district, not just any district, make sure to check out the teacher interview bundle. It has over 10 matching cover letter and resumes. I show you exactly how to modify each one to resonate with the district you're applying to. It also has things like follow-up email templates, thank you emails, asking for letters of recommendations, letters of resignation, if you need help with wording with that, and even a lesson plan demo template. If you want help getting hired by the right district, not just any district, and you're wanting to be intentional with who you get hired with from the get-go, make sure to check out Land Your Dream Job. I walk you through the entire process of how to research and figure out the right districts for you, what to say in your interview assets like your cover letter and resume to get noticed by that district, what to say during your interview. So like I said, it feels like a coffee chat with a friend, not some very thought out methodical process, and also what to do immediately following your interview that'll make you memorable and make the interview community think of you and recognize you right away. So if that's something you are interested in, definitely check out Land Your Dream Job. It's my experience that walks you through the entire process. I absolutely love the transformation this experience has made for other teachers, so definitely check out what they are saying. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, remember, we are stronger together, and I'll see you in the next one, Teacher Bestie. Bye.